Hi Papercrafters, welcome to another Design with Joe video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Today's video is an edited version of a live recording. Enjoy! I am doing these videos live. They're called Case the Cattie. And what that means is copy and share everything. And when we see a design that we love, and there's all kinds of things out there on Pinterest, in catalogs, in social media, on people's blogs, you can see tons of different ideas. And sometimes we want to know, how can we make those ourselves? So that's what this is all about. I am taking the Stampin' Up! Catalogs, whatever current catalogs are out there, and I am taking a card out of it and I'm breaking it down and I'm going to show you how to make it. I would love it if you will share these videos. So if you can share them with your friends and put it on your page so that people who are like-minded, who are crafters like us and love playing with paper, maybe have just a tiny little paper addiction, will come and join in. So I'm doing something out of the annual catalog again. And I have it marked here, and so I did post it yesterday. As I said, I post the picture 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, and you can make a comment to that post about what card you think I'm going to be making. So the picture that I posted was this big picture here, and I had a few different people making some different suggestions. I didn't have as many making suggestions this time, and so you do want to make sure you do that because you can get in on getting a free card. So take a peek for that post always. So I had guesses for this one and this one, but I'm not doing anything on this page. I'm actually going to be doing something on this page, and this is at a request of somebody who asked me to do it. And so Barb, this one's for you. So I'm sure that you will be watching probably on the replay. So I'm not going to show you right away which one, but you are going to guess like within seconds. I have 3 pieces of cardstock here. I'm going with, and for those who have never watched one of these before, what I do is I take the sample that's in the catalog, but I don't make that exact sample. I try and change it up a little bit and show you some different ideas than what you just see in the catalog. So here I have a piece of Mossy Meadow, and that is 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. Then I also have a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of soft seafoam, and the same size of my basic white. Okay, so that's really it for the supplies that I need for this. So we're gonna put our card aside because we don't need that quite yet, and we're gonna work with these two to start with. So I am going to be working with, so now this is where you're going to get it. Maybe it wasn't seconds, but this is where you're going to know exactly what I'm making. So I'm going to be working with the Many Messages and Many Happening stamp sets. And these ones, I have to say, I've had them a while and I really didn't play with them very much. So thank you, Barb, for giving me a challenge and making me pull them out of my stash. Now, how many of you do the same thing and don't necessarily go in and use every single stamp that you ordered at the time that you ordered? I'm famous for that. So what these are a cling stamp set, but it's one stamp, one big stamp made up with all of these different words. And the first one that came out was the Many Messages, and it has a matching die. And let me just pull that die in too. So what it has is a die that will fit directly over top of the words. Now these ones this is just a little bit smaller on here. So I do want to show you, I don't have one actually, but when we stamp it, you'll see this is a little bit smaller, not 100%, but it will fit right over top and it will cut out everything, every word. So what we're going to do is we're going to play with both of them. We're actually only going to stamp with this one, but I have pre-stamped some of these ones. So let me get that out. Whenever you're using a great big background stamp like this, you want to pull in your Stamparatus. And if you have another stamp positioner, that will work, just not quite as well. Also, one thing that I do is I have made a template of the messages die. One of the things that you want to think about when you're using a big background like this is that you want to use a piece of paper that's a little larger than you might think about using. So this piece of paper is actually 5 by 6, and I find that it fits on there with a little bit of room at the top. So 5 by 6 is a good size for one of these great big background stamps. So I have already put my stamp on, and I know where I need to place my paper. And I've got my 2 magnets already. So I'm going to place my paper in here, and I want to move my magnets really, really close to the edge. They're barely going to be holding on to this paper. It's just going to hold on to it a tiny little bit so that I don't pick it up when I'm going. And I'm actually starting with the wrong paper. Hold on. I want to put my white one in here first. So my steps for making this card, for the one that I'm going to be making for you, is I'm going to be stamping 2 times. So the first time I'm going to stamp with my Versamark, and let me just pull in, I keep a stamp case that has just a piece of black, and I put that underneath here. So when I don't need to place it right now, but when I'm placing stamps, I can see my grid lines much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Versamark first, and I'm going to ink it up really well. Let me just move that over to make sure that I'm going to be fully in the screen for you. There we go. Ink that up really well. Make sure your Versamark is well inked. So if you don't have an ink refill for your Versamark, you're going to want to pick one up. Today's a perfect day with free shipping, but it is necessary that this be as sticky as possible. So now what you're going to do is just stamp it. Okay, so one of the things I should show you before I do that, we're not going to see it anyway, but in this card, let me just turn it around here. In this card, what we can see is that we've got a lot of the words from the second set. Okay, this is the second set with love and wishes, love and hugs. Just breathe, and you can see congrats over here and congrats there. There's also stuff down the side here, but for this particular card, it's cut off, so it's not stamped at all. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing. So I am going to get all the words that are on this side, and even though I inked that, they're going to be on this paper. Okay, so just so you know that. So I always have a piece of paper towel that I use so that my it runs a little bit easier on my plate. I usually have anyway, sometimes I forget. And I would actually give that a second stamping. Okay, so give it another good one. One thing I did find with the many messages, which is the first one, the one I'm using, is that some of the writing is really quite fine. So I'm so happy, and these moments with you, thinking of you with sympathy and prayers, they're very fine. So you do want to make sure that you get them well inked up. So that's another reason why you want to use your Stamparatus. So now you're going to pick this up, and you're going to sprinkle that with embossing powder, and you're going to heat it up. And I'm going to do that later because I've already done that for you. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside, and I'll work with that later. Now I'm going to clean my stamps off just a little bit. I've taken my Simply Chamois, and I've actually cut it in half, and I have, of course, it's very disreputable, but that's one of the things about them. They get dirty really, really quickly, and it doesn't make them any less, useful. They work really well, but you do want to often run them underneath water, and when you do, you will see that the ink and the color will come out of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my color. So I don't want to, just like I don't want to see this here, I also don't want to see this one here or this one. So I'm actually going to do something to so that I omit those. So this is called omitting stamping, I guess you can call it that. This is one way to do it. So I'm just taking a piece of clear tape, and I'm going to go right over top of the bottom, That makes sense. And I'm going to take another little piece of tape and go over top of that saying right there. Now, there's a really important step that you have to do when you're using this technique, okay? Because now what we're going to do is we are going to ink everything up. I'm going to try and stay away from here so I can use my big one and go all over. Or if you have a Stampin' Spot, sometimes that's a little easier. So I've made a Stampin' Spot of Mossy Meadow. And you can just go like this, okay, if it doesn't take you too long. But because I have put tape down there, I'm not too worried about not hitting that spot. So I'm just gonna go over here. I'm also not worried about here because I know it's not going to go over top of my paper where I'm going to be placing it on my grid. So ink the entire thing up. If you get some on the tape, don't worry about that at all. This might seem like a little messy, but it gets better. Okay, so I'm going to put my soft seafoam down now. I'm going to put it in the exact same place. And I just know this from having done one like this already. Okay, so I decided where I needed mine to go. Now, before you stamp it, make sure that you have to do this important part. You want to take that tape off. So take that tape off, because if you don't, what you're going to get is the ink that's on the tape is going to transfer onto your paper. So take that off. It's very inky, so you don't want to really touch it too much if you can avoid it. Now I'm going to ink it up. Okay, same thing. I'm going to stamp it. This time I'm doing Mossy Meadow Green on top of soft seafoam. So yes, you only have to do it once, maybe twice, but only once with that tape where you do it the wrong way before you remember the right way to do it. So don't worry if you do, it's only paper. Now you can maybe see where I'm saying that there's some very fine writing here on this first one. So I do need to do another inking before I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go back and do that again, the whole process, so you get to see me do it again here. So you will go through a little bit of tape, but really it's inexpensive and it's a quick way to get this done. Okay, so now do that again. And I found that sometimes I've even had to do it 3 times. But what's so great about this stamp set, I'm going to show you in just a moment after I'm finished sort of polishing my plate. There we go. So that's quite a bit better. So I could do that again, but I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to clean this later. So whenever I'm not going to use this one because I have one done. Whenever you are putting aside your Stamparatus, take the plate out and just lay it on top and put it aside. You don't want it to be closed, and those hinges can actually break a little bit. So I have taken that white one, which I put aside, which we're not going to be able to see. And I have cut a whole whack of things out. Actually, I'm going to take that one out and I am going to show you. So here's the one I just did. So with this template, you can see that here's where they all fit right over top. Okay, so it will cut out those exact things. So if I were to go cut this one out right now, I would get a whole bunch of different, I don't even know how many are on here. So that's what I did with the white one. So with the white one, which I embossed, I cut out a whole bunch. And what I've done is I've made just 4 little packets, and I think I might even need 5, but I've taken them and I've stamped them various times on various colors with various colors of ink, but lots in this green, and I've just stamped them so that I have them to be able to pull out at any time. Now, I don't have to use them on this style of card. I can use them on any card, and they're perfect. So if I need a congratulations for somebody, that goes on a card. If I need, these ones are all birthday ones and they go together. There's lots of encouragement ones and thank you. And then I've also cut this die. I've run this die just a few times through some different shapes without having any words. So I've got white, mossy meadow, I've got basic black in there as well, just for what I'm doing and what I want to show you. So I do have a couple more designs afterwards that I do want to show you. So I'm going to pull in the ones that I have right now. Okay, so I've got these guys here. Let me take them off. So here's what we stamped, not the exact same one, but pretty much what we stamped. And now what I'm going to do is take some of those shapes. So let's look at the card again that they did. So what they did differently is they embossed with white embossing powder on top of a color. And I believe that's either just jade. Yeah, that's just jade probably. So they've embossed with white, and then they also stamped it again in, it looks like sort of mango, maybe bumblebee or mango melody. And then they've also done another thing where they've taken and they've covered up the words and put something else on there. So if we take a page out of their book, and we say, what do I want to focus on here? I'm going to make this be a happy birthday card. So you can make it be happy birthday. You could have it be a sympathy card if you need one. You could have it be a thank you card if you wanted to. So what I decided to do is I'm going to change up some of these just to make it a little bit more interesting. So this is gold embossing powder on top of white. So that's my Versamark. This is also gold embossing powder on top of white. So that's going to go right over top of the same ones. And then this one here is also going to go right over top of the same one. So I wanted 3 of the white on here. And then I thought, be brave, be strong, you've got this. Probably didn't really go with birthday. So I'm going to cover that up with just a shape. Okay. And then I'm just going to put, oh, happy day, which came off the side of, let me see, find it here. When I did the embossing on a bigger piece of paper, so a 6x5, oh, happy day came off the side. So that's going to go right over top. And then what I'm going to do, let's put that together first, actually. So what I want to do first is I'm going to put this guy on first, and I may need to trim him. Actually, he can go on last. I'm going to put the green on first. So let's do that just with our seal. And you can see I made a mistake on the back of this guy here. So there's an example where there are 2 sides to every piece of paper. And the mistake I made is the one that I was telling you about. I stamped the thank you ever so much is down here, and happy anniversary is on the bottom. So that's when I decided to use my tape. So you can learn from my mistakes. And believe me, I make a lot of them. Some days I make more than others. Do you know, do you find that too? You just have some days where it's like, huh. Now I found that I like the smaller, the mini dimensionals for this. So I'm going to put a few on just because there's some really small pieces on here. This one I probably could have gone with the bigger guys. I'm going to put 5 all the way across. And it just adds a little bit of variety to the card. So how many people really enjoy doing word things? Like they like playing with words and making a card out of words for somebody. Because there are some folks who do like that. I'm a calligrapher, so I really like to play with words. I know that there are lots of people out there like that. So maybe you're one of them. These are the perfect stamps to be doing that with. And it's great because, you know, you stamp it once and you've got all kinds of different ideas. So now I'm going to do the celebrate right over top. So it completely changes the look of the card very, very quickly. I'm going to do the happy birthday at the same time. I can do a big dimensional for that. I guess 3 to make it stand up and not sag in the middle. So this actually, you know, once you've made a couple of these, it took me a little bit sort of to figure it out, I have to say, but I thank you, Barb, for giving me the challenge. But once I did, I thought, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. I could see myself making a few of these cards. So I'm going to use snail. I'm going to cover up that be strong, be brave. Doesn't necessarily have to be centered over top of it as long as it's covered. And the oh, happy day. Do the same thing, the small ones for that one, because that is a small guy. Go, almost done here. And then I'm going to show you the last little part. Whoop, glue this. Whoop, did I take it off? I did. Okay, so there's the majority of our card. But I thought it needed something different. So what I did is I took another shape. So this shape here, and I put it right over top of that guy. And I'm going to glue that down, I think, with liquid glue. And the reason why is that one thing I did try is I tried gold on top of the Mossy Meadow. And I just found that it really was hard to see. And I don't know if you can see that. You can see it, but it wasn't the best. So I'm using the back of it. So, because I'm also going to be covering up a lot of it. So I did want to have a couple of those green in there. And then what I did is I took our Playful Alphabet, which is this one. Now, most of you see that I put my dies on top of magnet sheets. For this guy, I don't, and let me show you why. This is a great set of letters. What Stampin' Up! Did when they created this one is they gave little shapes to tell us exactly where you put your letter afterwards. So I'm going to keep this one instead. And there's a lot of tape on it. Okay, so I've taken just an H and a B for happy birthday. This is a piece of gold foil that I ran through the an embossing folder. It is the greenery embossing folder, and you really can't tell that it's the greenery at this point, but you can see that there's texture on it. So just create something a little bit different. And I'm going to use liquid glue for that. I'm just going to pull in my silicone craft sheet before I do that. I could have put this onto adhesive sheets, and probably I should have, and I didn't even think about it. So I'm going to take my H, try not to get any ink on myself, do it the right way. So what I found is that the H, the crossbar's on really low on this. I guess you could change it the other way if you wanted. Place that down. I have a little too much glue, so I'll take that off. I'll probably end up doing something with my adhesive remover after it dries. And I'm going to put my B. And it just fits on that little piece perfectly. So that's how Barb was wondering how they got the yay onto this card. So I figured out, so the yay actually is going, whoops, right over top. I'm going to show you here. Right over top of the sending happy thoughts. So this one here is right over the Mr. and Mrs. actually, and the to and from. And so that's about a 1 by 2 inch piece, I figured. A 1 by 2 inch piece here right over top. Mine, I did want to keep that sending happy thoughts because I thought that went with a happy birthday. There's my card. I could put some white inside. I could also put one more green one on there, I guess, but I sort of liked it the way it looked like that. So that's removing the mystery of that one. Let me show you a couple other cards that I made to show you that you can do other things with this too. So there's that one. This is another one. So here, very similar, but I did much more colorful. So this could be for a gal, and she is retiring. Okay, so I actually have a friend who just retired, and she is going to get this card. So I switched up and I used both stamp sets for this one. And this is Flirty Flamingo and Basic Black and Basic White. And then I did put in some of the hearts that cut out, because when you use the die, it cuts out hearts and stars as well. And so I just put those around with some rhinestones. And as I said, I mixed up the shapes, and I also mixed up the stamp sets. And I have one more for you, and then you can let me know which one you like the best. And this one here, I used designer paper in the background. So this is the In Good Taste designer series paper. And I also used a piece of the Misty Moonlight designer series paper pack. And this one here is really about congratulations somebody. And this one is, now tell me what you're seeing here. What are you seeing there? Tell me what that you think this card is for. Put it into the comments. I think that would be great. And so really it's just a congratulations. So you did it. You're awesome. The world needs more people like you. And then a lot of hellos and happy thoughts and congratulations. So this guy here is the third one. So you can get some totally different looks using the exact same set of stamps. And I am using two. So I'm getting some ideas there. Grade 8, yes. And you know what? That wasn't it, but it is perfect for that, isn't it? It actually is great. So I couldn't fit GREAT on there, so it's great. But as soon as I made it, I thought, oh, I'll bet you people would say that's a grade 8 grad. So you guys, you got it, even though that wasn't my intent. And then also some champagne rhinestones just to kick it up a notch. So I hope that you liked that and that you're going to give it a try. I think this card is really quite cool and gives you some really unique ways to play with these many messages and the messages dies. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.